Hello, my name's Will Kingswood, and welcome back to another episode of Raw Sport F1 Specials. This is number 16, looking at the Hungarian Grand Prix. A race, it's quite a good one, We saw a first-time winner in Esteban Ocon. Bottas went bowling at the start of the race, taking out a lot of the top contenders, and points for Williams for the first time in a few years. But obviously, I can't talk about it on my own, so I've got a guest with me. Welcome to the show, I think for the first time. Manas, how are you doing?
Hi, hey, how's everyone doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's going well. Obviously, it's been a few weeks without F1, which I think we've all been struggling with a bit.
Definitely.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll get into it. So we start with obviously Hungarian GP recap. I'll run through the top 10 quickly. We start with Ocon in first, Hamilton in second after Vettel's disqualification, Sainz in third, Alonso in fourth, Gasly and Tsunoda in fifth and sixth, Latifi and Russell in seventh and eighth, Verstappen in ninth and 10th for Raikkonen. I mean, first off, you're never going to see that top 10, anything like that top 10 ever again. You've got the two Alpines in first and fourth, the Williams in seventh and eighth, especially this season, Verstappen in ninth, Hamilton in second, but behind some midfield cars. I mean, what a top 10 that is.
It's just crazy, wasn't it? It just goes to show what rain can do. And then the unpredictability of the entire race was just insane. And it was just full of amazing moments, wasn't it? Like just Hamilton taking the start on his own and that amazing battle between Alonso and Lewis himself. So it's just, I think that was probably the best way to close out the halfway point of the season.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if you wanted a race that would sort of give us satiate like what we needed for 4 weeks, that was definitely the one. But as you say, it started with rain. I don't know. I feel like there have been weather forecasts that have predicted more rain and then it hasn't come than this one. It almost seemed like we'd all resigned ourselves to it not raining, and then half an hour before the race, the sky opened up.
It was crazy, wasn't it? Because in the previous years, when they say, it's going to be raining, and then they always say, but it's raining at the water park just beside the circuit. And everyone's just like, why are you telling us this? So, and then this time when it finally happened, it was so unexpected as well. So it was just great to see.
I mean, I think I was busy doing something before the race. I came along with 5 minutes ago. I'm like, oh, it's wet. So when did that happen?
Yeah, no, it was one of. I mean, it was generally one of the best race starts I've seen in a while. I mean, not for the top 5 in the championship, but as a spectator, it's just great, man.
But yeah, we'll come on to that start. Hamilton on pole for the first time in a while, getting a very good start. Obviously, Bottas not so good of a start, and then into the first corner, Bottas missing his braking point into Norris, who then went into Verstappen, and Bottas went into Perez, I think it was. I mean, it's been a while since we had a big incident between the top 5. You get it a bit further back in the grid. Sometimes the midfield come together, but it's rare that you essentially get 4 of the top 5 drivers in the championship taken out of contention in the race so early on.
Yeah, it's crazy, wasn't it? And then I remember after the race where it was 2 camps of people where Bottas has really just lost his seat today, and then his performance just terrible. And then the other camp was Bottas really earned his seat today. And then it was the split was insane, and it was just I mean, what do you say to that? It's how can an F1 driver mess up so badly?
I mean, I think it's hard to say, obviously, because it did benefit Mercedes, but it very easily couldn't have benefited them. If, let's say, Bottas gets a good start but misses his braking point, he goes into Hamilton maybe, and then you really think that it could have an issue.
He just missed him, so it was really I mean, it was definitely not deliberate, but it was just really coincidental that it just took out the top 4 minus Hamilton in one corner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is the top 5 in the championship, and if you look at it, it's just so rare that you see such a big incident take out so many top cars. I mean, I genuinely can't remember the last time that happened.
It's like Malaysia 2016 maybe, but even then it was just 3 cars. And like
I mean, to be fair, it probably was Singapore 17 when you lose the 2 Ferraris and the Red Bulls. And remember, Hamilton that day, I think, was starting 5th, ended up 1st. Almost like an Esteban Ocon, really.
Yeah, he's just in the right place at the right time. Yes. So I don't know, man. Yeah.
It was just a good one, because obviously that one combined with the Stroll also doing the same thing, taking out Leclerc, and Ricciardo.
Yeah.
You go.
It's okay. 2 different incidents, wasn't it? And then they were all the same. So, and I mean, is usually the Stroll isn't this bad in the rain. He's usually known for his good start in the rain. And I remember he almost got pole in Monza one of the years in the rain. So it was really unusual for him. Even I think Ocon, like he said that before the race, he got his race start tips from Stroll himself. So it was kind of an unexpected one for him. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've always backed Stroll in the rain. I was quite surprised to see it happen, but sometimes people make mistakes. I guess that's all they can really say about it.
Yeah, I mean, can you say? Generally been okay though.
Yeah, but then we saw a really, really messed up grid. So I think it was after that, I think it was Hamilton in first. Obviously, he'd got away. Then it was Ocon, and then I think it was Latifi.
Yep.
You don't. I think
no.
So.
I think that was second, and then Latifi was fourth. But then when Hamilton pitted, he was third. Yeah.
No, I thought. Hang on. Oh, we'd probably look it up, but I think it was Hamilton, Ocon, Latifi, Tsunoda, Russell.
And then Vettel get in.
Oh no! Oh yeah, it was Ocon. Oh yeah, you're right. Ocon, Vettel, Latifi, Tsunoda, Russell. Yeah, and then because obviously Gasly had also been caught up in that incident, not colliding, but he was trying to go around the outside. And
he knew that incident on his own, right? If you saw William Palmer's video, he gave us an onboard of Pierre start, and then it was like he nearly went into the back of Checo. He just missed him because he also had a big lockup himself. Yeah. So that was a lucky moment that he narrowly avoided.
Yeah, Gasly got unlucky, and it was slow. To be honest, it was the slow starting Sainz that sort of got away. Oh no, Vettel. It was Vettel who had a really bad start, got away with it just because he'd had that bad start and was able to go out the inside while all the carnage was going on. Sainz, obviously, after his crash in qualifying, that ended up helping him because he was back in the midfield and as such managed to get away with sort of colliding with everyone. And I think it's just a chaotic start, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, when else are we going to see something like that again?
Well, maybe this weekend, depending on the weather, but we'll come to that later. So, obviously, we red flag the race, something that really seems to be happening a bit more. I wanted to talk about this quickly. Like, since last year, especially, we've had a lot of red flags. I think I've probably started watching. I think 2017 and 18 were like the first years I properly got into it because it was just after it had left the BBC and gone into Sky, and I was younger then and things like that. And those years never really had a red flag, even if it was a big incident. But especially
2017. It was like 2017 Baku, if I'm not wrong, the last red flag.
Yeah. So we had one in Baku 17, but especially last year, I think it started. We saw quite a few of them in Tuscany. There were a few others. I think I can't remember what they were, but
had Bahrain. I'm not
Bahrain, yeah. But this year, especially, we've seen red flags in Silverstone. We've had red flags here now. I think we had one more race that was red flags. Baku, yeah, that was it. And I don't know. I feel like some people criticize it, but I think, to be honest, red flags are better because it means we do get the laps in rather than wasting them behind the safety car.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a function. I mean, it's probably because Michael Massey took over formally this. I mean, he said he's going to implement more and more changes, right? So Massey's more in favor of red flags as opposed to safety cars, which was Charlie's preference to it. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, at the start, I also noticed this red flag issue. So when I first saw it in Baku, because I'm pretty sure at Baku, I was like, oh, it's going to be a safety car to finish, and it's a Perez win and Hamilton second, and then suddenly out of nowhere they red flagged it, and I was like, okay, this is a very weird idea because it sounded like they were trying to make like entertainment like out of it's like the artificial entertainment, right? They're trying to make another race star and stuff. So it's like I don't know if I really want that, but I mean, come the restart, who would have predicted that, right? So yeah, I mean, right, in saying that it's good.
Oh yeah, you go. Sorry.
I think you're right in saying that it's better to have more red flags, but I guess it's more artificial racing, that kind of thing.
But right? I mean, it's within the rules, and I think it's almost preferable. We could have had a safety car restart in Baku, and Hamilton could have been clipped from behind, spun off, and could have had the same. It could have just been the same thing. It's not...
managed to finish the race. I mean, I don't think they would have restarted if it was a safety car, right? Because that was a pretty big shunt that Max had, and they'd have so it would have just been a checkered flag to the finish, kind of. I mean, safety car. Yeah.
But I mean, I just think it's better. I think we want those races. We want the laps in. We don't want to be behind the safety car for 10 or so laps, and you've lost 20% of the race.
Yeah, I mean, it's just different. It's just different gravy, isn't it? Like Charlie was more into that, and then now Massey is into this.
Yeah, but we'll wait and see. But it wasn't exactly a red flag restart that we normally see. As the remaining drivers coming out of the pits, I think there were 14 in the end because Mazepin had. Oh no, wait, no, Mazepin was still in the race at that point. But as they were going around the track, the track was really, really dry, and then one car went to start in Lewis Hamilton, and was not followed by anyone else. I mean, 14 cars into the pits. That's where Mazepin obviously collided with Raikkonen, lost his suspension, was out of the race. But what was your reaction when you saw that restart? I was just laughing my head off.
Yeah, I do. We were just I mean, I was watching my friend over here, and then we were both like, is this really happening? Like, Lewis is the only one on the grid. Like that picture, is just burned into all of our minds now. And like when you first think about it, like, because when I first saw Lewis like going around and not pitting, I was like, this is probably like what everyone else was gonna do. But when you see Ocon going in, and then we saw everyone else going in, and then I think Crofty said, "Oh, Hamilton's going to be the only one taking the restart." We were like, "Whoa, that's actually happening!" It's crazy, man. Yeah.
I mean, I think that is one of those F1 like photos or moments that goes down in history. One car on the grid at the restart of a race, and so Mercedes initially they were like, this was the correct decision. We would have been held up in the pits, and then I think they admitted they'd made the wrong decision. I think
a week later or something.
I think you can criticize them for making a mistake, but that's with the benefit of hindsight. You've got to think when they decided to go to the grid, they didn't think all 14 cars behind them were going to pit. They thought maybe they'd be held up in the pits. They thought there'd be cars behind them, so they wouldn't lose as many positions. So I think with the benefit of hindsight, it's a little bit more easier to criticize, but obviously it was a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. But I mean, like, I guess, I mean, you could say that Ocon would have made the same mistake, but he chose not to. So Alpine clearly had it figured out much better than Mercedes, right?
Yeah,
because Alpine took the same risk. I mean, Ocon took the same risk by pitting because he didn't know that Vettel was going to pit and Latifi was going to pit and everything. So I guess you could say that. I mean, I think Mercedes really did make the mistake, yeah. And I don't know if hindsight could prove them if I don't know if you could forgive them for hindsight for it. I know Lewis was a little pissed on the radio for it. He was like, "We threw away the win," but I can't really think of anything that. I mean, I can't really. They've been making more mistakes this year, haven't they? Like as compared to like their usual 2016 dominance ways. So something's.
Yeah.
I'll say.
I mean, so Baku probably Hamilton's fault. France can't really do anything. Monaco was definitely probably the biggest mistake they've made, and I mean this one as well. I think Mercedes, the team and the driver as a whole, are probably making more mistakes as opposed to the team. I think Hamilton probably lost 3 positions in Monaco, so maybe what's that? They was like 4th to 7th, so that's about like 5 or so points.
5-6 points, yeah.
Yeah, and then this one, they would have won the race. Like, let's be completely honest. So that's 7. That's 7 points that were gone. But these things happen. I think you can't really like. That's never happened before. I can't like. There's never been when it's been started on wet and then goes to dry. We've obviously seen the legendary like Marcus Winkelhock pitting before the race start as the heavens opened in Nürburgring in 2007 and leading his only ever race. But it's never happened the reverse, and especially not with 14 cars making a decision to pit.
Yeah, once again, it's just one of those things. But it's probably going to be like once in 10-20 years that these things happen, and I'm so glad that it's happening in this season with like such an already heated title fight going on. So it just adds to the drama, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it can't really get any better than this at the moment. Yeah. But obviously, we come out, Hamilton eventually has the pit. We looks like George Russell's going to go into the lead because he's jumped everyone. Yeah. But then he starts to pull back. Everyone is panicking. I mean, I was panicking. Were you panicking?
Yeah, I was, especially when Crofty was saying, "Oh no, not again! What's this guy gonna do to catch some luck?" And I was just like, "Oh man, come on!" Everyone is just like, until like I think Martin pointed out that he has to give back the positions, and it's not because that he's dying, which is yeah.
And I think it was worth the shot to try and gain them. He didn't really lose much. But then the top 3 are Ocon, Vettel, and Latifi. Latifi in a podium position and was there for a fairly long time.
Yeah.
I mean, let's do some Latifi support. He's in a car with a very, very good teammate. He's not the best driver. I think he probably will be replaced at the end of the season. But to be fair to him, running in 3rd for like the first third of the race, and then finishing 8th, being upgraded to 7th, obviously with Vettel's disqualification. That's a very good performance, especially in a Williams.
I mean, you could argue that it's luck, like being at the right place at the right time. But yeah, I mean, he has got. But before this, do you remember like when's the last time he had like a very standout performance? Do you remember?
I don't think he's had a standout. To be honest, I don't think he's had a standout performance. I know he came 11th at Austria in his first race, but that's because 11 cars finished.
Right.
So that was his best position finish so far. But I don't think he's really had a standout race. I think he's definitely not up there with Russell, and I do think he'll be replaced. But you got to give credit to him for a very good performance.
Yeah, I mean, he did better than Russell, I guess. As everyone says, like George scoring his first points, but Latifi getting more than him is the most George thing to happen to George in the history of George, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, that's really, and to be fair to Latifi, he sort of helped Ocon and Vettel as well, because he gave them that gap to get away.
If not, I'm pretty sure Sainz would have been on them. Maybe the AlphaTauris would have been on them. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think Ocon especially needs to be writing a little thank you card to Latifi for letting him have that gap.
I think Esteban's got to write a thank you card to a lot of people.
Sounds like it. I mean, he's got to write a thank you card to Stroll for the start, Latifi for the holding up, and then, as we'll get on to later, Alonso for the defense. But I mean, the next few laps bit fairly standard. We had Hamilton and quite damaged Verstappen trying to get through the back of the field. I think it sort of started to light up when Hamilton came in for his first pit stop and managed to jump both Ricciardo and Verstappen, which, to be honest, I think was the crucial move of the race.
Yeah, because let's face it, if he got behind Verstappen, I don't think that Max would have let him go. Like, Hungary is so it's so nefarious to overtake. I think if he just positioned his car right, Hamilton would not have dared to make a move. So yeah, it was a very crucial overtake and very good thinking from Mercedes to do the undercut. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair to Mercedes, like, they probably would still won this race had it not been for Alonso, because Hamilton was, I think, finished 2.5 seconds behind Ocon and 0.6 behind Vettel.
Yeah.
At one point, I think he was almost 3.5 seconds quicker in one lap than the two at front. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, when we saw that, we were like, yeah, it's over, isn't it? Lewis got this in the bag, and then out came this 40-year-old man who's yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll move on to that now because there's not really much else. The midfield of the race, it seems to be normal, was a bit just standard. Everyone's sort of getting ready for the final few laps. But yeah, Hamilton.
I think Mick Schumacher had a pretty good race. Like, he got a lot of camera time, and then we got to see him bend from Max. I think, like, I don't know if I mean, we can't really say anything about the Haas drivers until like we see them on camera, right? So
yeah,
him getting that screen time was pretty good for him. Like, good promotion for him as well.
Yeah, it was good. Mick Schumacher had a very good race. I think, obviously, you're defending. It was quite fun that I saw a lot of people saying that half a Red Bull can overtake one Haas, which I think is a bit demoralizing for maybe Mazepin and Schumacher. But obviously, we've got 2022. They're probably putting in all their eggs in one basket.
Everything's just in there, right? So hope for the best for them, right?
But yeah, we get on to Hamilton. He's pitted for mediums. He's redoing his 2019 Hungary strategy and trying to overtake. I think it would end up being 4 cars. The 2 Alpines, Vettel and Sainz. But Alonso bringing us back to 2007 with the battles with Hamilton. And I mean, that was arguably, that's what we want. That's an Alonso Hamilton battle of old. That's what we missed out on, sort of maybe in the 2010 to 13 era. They weren't really close together, but those two drivers on the top of their game. All credit to Alonso holding behind. I mean, you can't really say much more than a 10 out of 10 drive from Fernando.
Yeah, man. Like, it was, my friend made this great comparison. It's like, Alonso defending from a 7-time world champion in a blue car. Like, it's just classic Alonso, isn't it? So like when it just shows that, you know, he's still got everything in him. He's still got the fire. He's still got all the skill that he had in the past 3 years and stuff. So, I mean, all credit to him. I think he's pretty much silenced all his haters. Everyone that was saying he's not gonna be great this season because of his age and stuff. But man, he's got great fire, man. So I'm looking forward to what he can do in an hopefully better Alpine next year.
I mean, I think the best thing about it was that it was a fair battle as well. There was, I know Hamilton on the radio probably he was complaining a bit, but yeah, I think it's always like it's just hard but fair. And I think looking back on it, he probably would say that as well.
Yeah, he said, I remember like watching a story after the race, is that it's just on the line, and that's how it should be. But yeah, like there's like the comedic moment, right, when he said, "Oh, that speed is so dangerous, man," and all the spectators were like, "Yeah, what about cops, bro?" And it's like the same thing. So, and that was a funny moment for all of us watching, I think.
Yeah, I think Hamilton, especially on the radio, he speaks his mind, and then obviously after the race, he probably says what he should be saying. But I mean, it was just very good racing. And to be fair, the fact he held him up for as long as he did meant Ocon won the race. That if you could define any win as a team performance where everyone's performed, Alpine have performed in the pit stops, keeping him ahead of Vettel. Alonso's performed for Ocon, holding Hamilton behind for I think 8 or so laps. And Ocon's obviously performed by keeping it ahead of Vettel and winning the race. That is the team performance that F1 is built on.
Yeah, just absolute class from the Alpine team. And I mean, that is what it takes, to keep Lewis behind. That's a level that everyone needs to be working on so that you can keep a Mercedes behind you. And all credit to them. That was a very deserved win, I think. And like you could say that even Sainz was like, I remember seeing like a comment which was like Sainz is saying, I was considering slowing down so that Alonso could get my DRS so that he would be helped. So it was really a team effort. Everyone was trying to make sure that Alonso stays ahead.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously we saw Hamilton got past Sainz quite easily. I think that's just that's sort of the experience that you see. Like Alonso's got that two-time world champion, like almost 20 years in the sport. Carlos Sainz, he's been in the sport for a while, just not as long, and that's probably why he caught past a lot quicker. And I mean, just watching Alonso, you can't really say anymore. It's just like watching Alonso defend was amazing. And I'm a Hamilton fan, but I'd almost rather see a new winner. I think I like seeing like as many drivers as possible get that time on the podium. Ocon obviously got his first podium in Bahrain last year at the Sakhir Grand Prix, but this time he gets a win, and that's what he's not won. I was quite surprised he's not won like any race since 2015. So that's 6 years without like being on the top step, and I think it's so good that he was able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't write this stuff up, can you? An Ocon win, and the kind of scenes we saw from the Hungarian GP, and we all know what Ocon's been through, right? If you remember 2018 where he got dropped because it was never his fault. It was like financial reasons, and everyone's like, "Dang, that's like really like." That just shows how like money plays a part in F1 and stuff. And we're like, the story he's had, this, I think it's pretty good. And it's like, and it ties up with Gasly's win last year as well. Like those were two very wholesome stories where like they were part of a really bad heartbreak. And then like they finally got like their redemption drive and stuff like this. And so I'm just really happy for Ocon.
Yeah. And obviously, by the end, he was joined with Vettel and Hamilton on the podium. But unfortunately, Vettel was disqualified for a fuel infringement. They were only able to get 0.3 litres out of the car. Aston Martin said there was more, but they weren't able to get it out. And you need to be able to get 1 litre out of the car for checks and stuff. But they weren't. And to be honest,
rules are rules.
Yeah, rules are rules. It happened. I remember 2 like examples. It happened to Hamilton in Spain in 2012. He got put to the back of the grid, and that meant Maldonado could take the win. And then it happened to Vettel in Abu Dhabi, I think, which almost cost him the world championship.
Yeah.
So, but I know people obviously everyone likes Vettel now, but you have to follow like the technical rules. It can't really be a fine, because at that point the fine has to be astronomical. Otherwise, it would be worth cheating with the fuel. And it's not like a driving regulation where it's like different shades of grey. Whose fault is it? Blah, blah, blah. This time it's a technical regulation. If you don't do this, then you have to be disqualified.
Yeah, but we were all hoping, because what Otmar said after the race, because he was the only one left when they were doing the test, everyone else had flown out already. So when he filed the appeal, he said, "Oh, there's actually more fuel in the tank," and then like it's the pump that was wrong, right? So we're all like, if there is actually 1 liter of fuel, then maybe he shouldn't be disqualified and stuff. Up until like 2 weeks ago, when they said, "Oh, actually there isn't fuel in the tank. It's just that the ground." What were they appealing again? I can't remember. They were saying there was another leak in the tank or something like that. I can't remember.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's the fly, right?
I'm a bit disappointed that, like, Carlos Sainz, this is his 4th podium, but I mean, like, he's only been able to celebrate 2 of them. It must be getting a bit annoying for him as well.
Right? I'm sure he'll take it, but yeah, it's a bit strange, isn't it?
Because wait, so he's had it was Italy, Brazil, and Monaco, whereas previous 3. Obviously, he didn't get it in Brazil because Hamilton got the penalty after the race. Italy was Monza was probably quite disappointing because he was so close to getting his first win behind Gasly. I'd say Monaco is probably the only one he's really celebrated getting. I think was it second? Yeah, second behind Verstappen, being up there with his buddy Lando Norris. And I mean, it's a bit disappointing for Sainz, really. Hopefully, he gets to actually celebrate some podiums soon.
I think he will. He's doing very well at Ferrari, and the car seems to be getting better and better. So I think we can see more. We can expect more from Sainz this year.
Yeah, and Charles, what we'll do is we'll come on to some of the team battles, because the team battles have really closed up now. Obviously, you got Red Bull on 289, Mercedes 285, McLaren and Ferrari on 163. That's meant to say 163. Oh no, are these not updated? I forgot to save all of these on the little ticker. Ignore me. But as for audio listeners, there's a ticker at the bottom, which I think I forgot to save the updated. So Mercedes are ahead of Red Bull now. McLaren and Ferrari are on the same points, and AlphaTauri and Alpine are way ahead of Aston Martin now, with Williams being quite a way ahead of Alfa Romeo as well. I mean, if for video people or audio people, if you want to check them out, just Google them. I'm sorry about that. I thought I would save it, but I mean, really, it's really close. That disqualification for Aston Martin has really, really put them behind, especially because AlphaTauri 5th and 6th, Alpine, who were a bit 9 points behind. It's quite a big difference, especially at that like stage point, getting first and 4th. And I mean, it really is setting up in the constructors' battle.
Yeah, and it's probably like last year we had like a big four-way fight for 3rd. This year we have a 2-way fight for 3rd, and then a 2-way fight for 5th, a 3-way fight for 5th.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really. I mean, once again, I guess it's more differentiated now than it was last year, where everyone in the midfield was more or less equal. But I mean, Ferrari versus McLaren, that looks like a very tasty battle. Although I must say, hopefully Ricciardo, when he gets up and running in the car, I hope McLaren can pull away.
Yeah, I mean, you think Ricciardo, because obviously we've got I'll put the driver standings up quickly. We've got the 2 Ferraris in 6th and 7th. We've got Norris in 3rd, like just ahead of 4th and 5th, so probably will end up 5th. But Ricciardo down in 9th, 30 points behind the 2 Ferraris. I think that is the thing that McLaren really need at the moment, just to have Ricciardo up there. But anyway, I mean, what would you give? We'll finish off there. I think it almost feels like there's not much. There's a lot of big things to talk about, but just not much to talk about in general. Have you got? I mean, is there anything else you want to add quickly?
For the Hungarian GP or for?
Yeah, just for the Hungarian GP.
I mean, Ricciardo had a terrible race, but overall, I guess we've covered pretty much all of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ricciardo probably a bit harsh. He was sort of in the same boat as Verstappen,
right? Yeah,
being taken out at the start. I think it was hard. That race was. I think What would you give that race out of 10? I think I'd go for a solid. I think probably maybe just a 9, just because there wasn't that battle at the front. Really, it was sort of Ocon behind, or Vettel behind Ocon for the most of it.
I mean, the 2 of them were fighting. I mean, at the end, it proved to be inconsequential because Vettel got disqualified. But they were going. I mean, Vettel tried to make one move down the straight, I mean, but within, like, generally he was within 1 to 2 seconds, which I thought was, it's probably not the smartest way to go about things, because when you're trying to go for like when you're trying to overtake someone, you kind of want to like fall back first and then recharge your batteries and then like try again. But we were all really confused when he was doing like when he was consistently 1.5 to 2 seconds behind, because that must be like taking out your fuel. It must be taking a tire wear issues, and so it's like we were a bit surprised at what he was doing, but it was we all still like that there's just a 2 second gap throughout the whole race, so we can't really fault him for that.
Yeah, I mean, what would you give the race out of 10 then? I mean,
the race itself, I think it's probably a solid 10.
Ooh, I think I'm not sure. If there was that battle up the front, if we had like, I don't know, a driver was coming through, maybe if Vettel had maybe even done a Hamilton, pitted and then tried to come through the pack. I'm not sure if that was possible strategy wise, but that would have been fun to see. And I mean, but second, or what would have been second place before his disqualification, and Ocon obviously taking the win. So that is our Hungarian GP recap. Then we'll go through the news. There hasn't really been much news over the summer break. Well, there's been one big one, and that's the cancellation of the Japanese Grand Prix. Again, I mean, it's just not really. It's sad to see it happen again, especially because Japan is such a good track that you always sort of thought it was going to happen.
But yeah, and the second half of the season really looks to be in jeopardy now, doesn't it? And Japan was a big one. We all thought it would go ahead because the Olympics went ahead, and then everyone was like, yeah, this would probably go ahead, and then it got cancelled, and we were like, okay, so what else is in jeopardy now? And apparently America is really iffy. If I'm not wrong, Turkey is still a bit wobbly. Yeah. And there's one more. I can't remember now.
I think Mexico and Brazil are quite.
Mexico and Brazil, right, yeah.
So I mean, at the moment, it's sort of looking like America, I think, will be okay. I think they have to rely on America being okay, because I think what they've got planned is probably a double header in America. Then instead of going to, then either we go to Mexico or Brazil, or they both get cancelled, and then we go to, I think there's talks for Qatar returning to, joining the calendar for the first time ever, the MotoGP circuit. Then we have, I think, maybe even another Bahrain race. I think that depends on whether. Again? Yeah, I think we'll do the outer circuit again. I think that really depends on whether if Mexico and Brazil get cancelled. Probably, I think probably if they both get cancelled, we'll go to Bahrain again. If they don't, maybe we'll just go to Qatar or just go to Bahrain outer. But then obviously we finish it off in Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi, which there's not really much you can do, is there?
I mean, hopefully Abu Dhabi, right? The circuit changes this year. Hopefully, do something about the racing. Look, I mean, it generally looks faster right now. So hopefully, cars can follow each other through more, and we can get some proper racing. Yeah. But we're all on the calendar. I would think that it's a bit unrealistic now to be aiming for 23 races. I know there are talks of Indy coming back, like the Indianapolis circuit, the inner field. So that would be nice to see if we go there. But in general, do you think 23 race is possible?
I don't like. Yeah. To be honest, was never a fan of the 23. I think 21 max was probably quite a good number.
Oh, like in like general, like in.
Yeah, no, I always thought 20. I still think we should have a rolling calendar personally, like. So we can get tracks that aren't normally, because then that means we can get tracks that aren't normally on the calendar in. We can have we can go to Portimao, we can go to Indy, Miami, COTA, like Brazil, even Argentina, bring back some of the old European races, go down to South Africa. bring back maybe India and South Korea, go to the Middle East, go to back to Australia. We can have all of these races, and it means that the financial burden on the tracks isn't as much because they'll be hosting less regularly. It will make F1, I think, more of an event because the race is coming here for 2 or 3 years. We want like the showcasing of the race. You might have one in your maybe region, but you want that one at your track, and then it just makes it a lot easier to host F1 races, and gives it more variety, and I think that's what we all want.
I think that's what every F1 fan would ideally want, right? But I think there are probably like a lot of logistical challenges going on with it because, especially like we all know what happened to like India and Korea where they built a circuit for like racing, and then it just happened for like 4 years, I think, and then after that, like the circuit is just rotting there now in India and then in Korea as well. So like nobody wants to have that sort of thing happen again. So I think every circuit would want like a very firm contract with how many years they want, because if there's no like firmness or rigidity to the calendar, it's like it creates a lot of, I would say it creates a lot of logistical issues for F1.
Yeah, I think possibly you can still have maybe shorter contracts. I know. Well, we're leaving Sochi, going to St. Petersburg. I think that's probably the only good thing that's maybe come out of the pandemic in terms of F1, in that we have been able to go to these different circuits. We've gone last year. We went back to Nürburgring. We went to Portimao. We went to Mugello, and we went back to Imola as well. And we would never have seen that happen if the disease hadn't hit. And I think probably the F1 management recognized that maybe having that variety is like a good thing to have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the spectator numbers were like, but the thing that they were more concerned with, if I'm not wrong, is that last year they had to give all these contracts. Like I think they got Turkey in and Mugello in for quite cheap, like because they were just like they didn't really have to pay much of a cost. Like Mugello itself didn't have to pay much of cost to host an F1 race. So it was much easier last year because financially everyone was a bit more freer since F1 didn't charge them a lot. So it's very difficult to say that those circuits will be coming back because once again it's like money rules the world, and if ultimately spectators don't come to those races, then it's going to be a bit hard for them to make money, right?
I think it's up to F1 management. I hope that they've seen that there is the possibility of doing these different races, and to be honest, they seem to have good ideas for the future. And like we've got the new aero race coming in next year, possibly new engine race in 2025, and I think it's sort of what you want to see, really.
Yeah, they are. I mean, is who's the new boss now? Is it Stefano Domenicali? Yeah, I mean he's taking the right steps. The aero rags, the engine rags. He's really listening to the audience, which is something that Bernie Ecclestone didn't really do. So overall, I feel that F1 is probably heading in the right direction in terms of satisfying its viewers and stuff. But stuff like the stuff like circuits and races and stuff, I think it would be a little hard for them to make plans for.
Yeah, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I think that was sort of the only news that happened over the summer break. Only major news. Obviously, we'll talk about it in our Belgian GP preview. We've had the ongoing rumblings of the contract between Bottas, Russell, and Mercedes. But other than that, can't think of anything.
I mean, recently, I mean, it's not really F1 related, but like Toto and Lawrence started the investigation for insider trading. I don't know how that will play out in F1, but
yeah, I think we got to wait and see for that. But it's, we'll come on to our Belgian GP preview at the wonderful Spa-Francorchamps. I mean, arguably easily top 5 tracks on the calendar. I think we can't say no to that.
It's just such a classic. We can't. They don't make tracks like that anymore. They can't make tracks like that anymore because of all the safety precautions and everything. So it's really like a gem in the calendar now. It's only 7. It's the only 7-kilometer circuit. Just straight up, just the downforce in like the last sector and everything. It's just very beautiful to look at, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, judging by the weather forecast, we might have storms on the track, but there's still rumblings off the track as well because the Bottas. Yeah, we'll come to the weather, but I was trying to get a good segue in. Why not? But obviously, rumblings off the track, Bottas and Russell still hasn't been decided. I mean, they've been put together in the press conference on Thursday or tomorrow. Tomorrow, as we're filming this, and it will be very interesting to see what questions are asked because it does feel like we're getting into the business end of that whole the whole saga.
Yeah, right, and. I mean, we thought that this would all be done right now because from what George was saying and what Toto was saying, that we want to get this done as early as possible, not like last year with Lewis. But it looks like they kind of want to take some more time. You think?
I think they said September's the absolute final. So I think maybe it's even the next 3, the next triple header, Spa, Monza, and Zandvoort, that could really decide. But probably not. I mean, they probably already decided, but it will be interesting to see, especially after we've seen Bottas. He did crash, but it did benefit them. Russell getting points in the Williams. I think it still feels a bit up in the air.
You think a lot of my friends were positing this. They thought that it was they've probably decided on George already. But they just don't want to tell Valtteri because if they tell him he's already been dropped for the next season, he won't really be into playing the game this season. So like they want to delay that announcement so that they can make Bottas play the team game for as long as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a theory that they were trying to sort out Bottas's future before announcing it. So maybe Bottas to Williams or Alfa Romeo before they announce it, just to give him that security. But obviously, we can speculate all day and night, as I think everyone's been doing for the past few months. Now we'll come on to the weather on the track. What's it looking like? I know I'll get it up as well, but I know it's always threatening.
80% on all 3 days now, according to Google.
My. This is,
it's continuous.
So this could be good. Let me get it up as well. I want to see it. This is looking good.
It's looking good, but there's always a threat of too much rain where they have to like red flag the session and then the race just doesn't go on. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But
one thing we've seen at Spa a lot of the time is showers, especially like you're getting. We saw it in 2010. F1 have been putting up a lot of those sort of highlights on their Instagram feed. I think it was 2018 where it started raining. Perez drifting up Radion. I know that was very cool. And then obviously 2018, the legendary "Here Comes Sebastian Vettel" commentary. But yeah, we could get the same thing this season. It seems like it's maybe a bit more iffy on the rain on Sunday, but even that could be good. Let's say it rains halfway through, half the track is wet, half the track is dry, and then you've got real carnage.
I'm just trying to not get my hopes up too high because we've seen this kind of weather before and it ends up to be completely sunny throughout the weekend. Yeah. So just hedge your bets a little bit.
I think it's just the fact it's getting closer and it's still staying. The fact it's Wednesday when we're recording this. Normally when we look at the weather, it's Monday, Tuesday. By sort of Thursday, it's gone. Like, there's no chance of rain. I think that's what most people thought happened with Hungary, and then obviously we got lucky with the sort of shower that passed through. But it's Wednesday now. We've got it's still looking like continuous rain on Friday, continuous on Saturday, and then showers on Sunday. It's getting promising. Obviously, now we've said this, it won't rain, but we can all live in hope. I think. I think that's the thing we have to live by.
Yeah, because generally, if there isn't rain, Spa can be a bit boring. Can it? Because last year Hamilton won comfortably. I think 2019 was interesting, but 2018 last year was a little dull, I'd say. So
I think it really depends. You almost don't want to be on pole, especially if it's dry. Because I remember, like, obviously we had the 2018. Here comes Sebastian Vettel. He wasn't starting on pole. I remember 2013. Hamilton starts on pole. Vettel overtakes him, takes his first of his nine race win streak. I think pole at this track, I'd almost say, is the least, like, the worst pole. Like,
Russia,
not obviously. Yeah. Russia is probably up there. I think Russia and Spa, just the runs into not with turn 1 at Spa especially. It's just the run up to, I think it's turn 5 at the top of the hill.
Yeah,
and it'll be turn 5 because that was the three up the hill, Eau Rouge and Radion, and then I think the fourth unnamed one at the top. But yeah, turn 5, or maybe it's turn 4, I'm not sure. But it does seem that is the make or break, especially at the start of the race.
Yeah, and Lewis in 2017 played it very good, if you remember. Because he was on pole, right? And then he allowed Vettel to get too close too fast because he lifted off the throttle. So you kind of need to be really smart if you're starting on pole to have these antiques up your sleeve, man.
But yeah, I mean, something could happen. Like, we got to wait and see. But let's do our predictions. I think it's up here. Go on, be it. Yep, this is it. So every week we do our predictions now. And last week, or not last week, for the Hungarian Grand Prix, we had Jack predicting a Verstappen Hamilton Perez podium. Got Hamilton right, got the other two slightly wrong. Whereas I went for a Hamilton Sainz Leclerc podium. So I got two of them right in the end, but just in the wrong order, while Jack got one right in the right order. I'll let you be the decider. Who wins that one? Or is it a draw?
I think you got it, because predicting Sainz on the podium is fair play, man. Fair play.
I'll take that. But I think he might have taken me in the general predictions by getting one of them right. Russell scoring for the first time. Finally, a prediction hasn't jinxed the result. And then he had Hamilton crashing quali and Bottas fastest too. The one exactly correct. I mean, Sainz crashed in qualifying, so it wasn't impossible for someone to crash in qualifying. Whereas I went for Norris outscoring Verstappen and Hamilton. Or Verstappen or Hamilton, no. Ferrari pole, yep, no. And mid-race rain, I almost got it, but it rained before the start of the race. So I was too specific. The bane of any prediction. But I mean, should we do our predictions now? So do you want to give me your top 3?
Top 3? Okay, on spot I'll say either of the Red Bulls, one of them would take a 10th place grid penalty, so they'll decide to replace the engine this race.
Wait, hang on. Give me your top 3, just top 3 finishes first.
Oh, top 3 finish. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is.
I know it's a difficult one, especially with the rain coming in. It could be anything.
Okay, I'll be very. Oh yeah, it is the rain, huh? Okay, let's say. Okay, Lewis first, and then okay, it's not gonna be Norris second, and let's see. Let's give third to Vettel.
making a redemption from his disqualification in Budapest. Right, I'll write mine down. I think I think I'll go Hamilton first as well. Obviously, if it does rain, he is one of the best.
Yeah.
Then I might go for Stroll. I think he's out. He's not performed well in the rain this time, but maybe this is his redemption arc. He comes back in the showers, puts it in second place, and to be honest, it could even be better. I mean, we might even get a maiden win for someone. So I might go Stroll second, and then I'll go Verstappen third. I think. Well, you see a Verstappen mistake in the final few laps, allowing Stroll to get through. Maybe you don't. Maybe Stroll's in first and Hamilton overtakes him on final lap. Anything could happen. But I'm backing Lance Stroll to do well at this race. So those are our top threes. Do you want to give me just 3 general predictions for the weekend?
Yeah. So I said either of the Red Bulls would take a 10th place penalty.
Okay.
So they have it over here. Another one would be let's see. What else usually happens at Spa? Oh, Orange fans booing Lewis if he's on the.
Okay, Orange fans booing Lewis on podium.
Yeah, and one more, huh? Let's see. Charles Leclerc third in qualifying.
Okay, Leclerc third in qualifying. In quali, I got to write this down. Really.
Have a big power upgrade, right, or something this race?
Something like that. I'm not seeing anything, but it could be possible. I think I'm gonna go for top 5. I'm gonna go for a top 5 crucial mistake. So a driver. So I'm gonna. I'll specify it now, so it doesn't look like I'm just trying to be as vague as possible. I think a driver in the top 5 of the championship, so the 2 Mercedes, the 2 Red Bulls, and Norris, will make a mistake that puts them out of the race, sliding off into a gravel trap somewhere, maybe just spinning off into the wall. So I'm going to go top 5 crucial mistake. Then I will. I don't think on lap 1. I think just at some point. I think especially if we get the rain. I'll say in race. I'll go a bit more specific. But especially if we get the rain, then anything could happen. Then I might go for Ocon. I'm gonna go Ocon out in Q1.
Could be.
Because it always seems to happen when a driver has a really good performance, they then follow it up with a bad one a few races later. And then finally, I might. It just depends if it rains, because if it rains, like all of these could be in, or they just could be out of the window. I'm gonna go double points for Alfa Romeo.
Ooh, okay.
Kimi's good in the rain. We never see Antonio Giovinazzi, but I know no one. Let's get Alfa Romeo involved in it this for once, because we never talk about them.
Yeah.
So double points for Alfa Romeo. So that is done. I think this race, regardless of whether it rains or not, is going to be a good one. You'd see this will be the first battle that Verstappen and Hamilton actually have since their collision in Silverstone. We've got Norris, Bottas, and Perez fighting for third. Bottas taking his 5-place grid penalty will be behind people at the potential start of a wet race. Maybe he'll repeat his antics in Budapest.
Well, we all know he's not the greatest, but I would say that maybe. I would hope. I'm really hoping we see Lewis versus Max up through La Sauce and then up through Eau Rouge and stuff. I really hope we see that, and not that they decide to give him a 10th place penalty this race.
Yeah,
fingers crossed. So yeah,
looking forward. Anything could happen if it rains. But I've been Will Kingswood, and this has been a Real Sport F1 special number 16. And thank you for watching.
Yep. Thank you.